Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys out there are having a great day. I'm going to switch it up a little bit and talk about the things that I learned in my teens, and as I'm currently in my last year of being a teenager, I think this sums things up pretty nicely. So yeah, these are some things I learned in my teens that I think people usually learn in their late 20s, early 30s. I think it takes a lot of people to actually, maybe they learn it, but they don't actually take action on these things. One of the things I learned, one of the larger than life things I learned, were almost spiritual, was dedication and consistency equals success and mastery. Always. You know what I mean? If you want a blueprint to mastery, I think that one really propelled my life into a direction that I didn't see coming. Where I was like, seriously? It's as easy as that. Dedication and consistency. And the harder the skill, maybe the more dedication. Or maybe it's a skill that takes time, as all skills do. So more consistency. That balance, though, of dedication and consistency really changed my life. You know what I mean? And changed how I saw myself. Because I feel like there's almost two different sectors in my teens where it was like there's one kind of branch, and that's the way you look at yourself. That's the way I looked at myself. And that came from changing that and altering that. How I looked at myself came from dedication and consistency and stemmed from me treating me better. Right? That's obviously, come on, that's like number one on the things that I learned in my teens that helped me out, that I think people don't learn until way later. That maybe, like I said, maybe they learn the belief of it, but they don't actually put it in practice. And that's treating yourself with some worth. You know what I mean? Like as if you're worth something, as if life's worth something. You know, and this is something that actually took me up until around a year and a half ago to really put this into practice, you know? And it's something that's just so difficult to put into practice. Then now looking at it, and I've had the belief since around 5 years ago when I was like 14-ish. I had the belief, but I didn't quite put it into practice the same way, you know? And now doing what I'm doing, like I said, I'm only 19 years old. I started an e-commerce business selling beats to rappers and doing this business and treating myself like someone of worth, as if I'm someone that can actually achieve something. Well, that means me getting down to the brass tacks of it and actually just working. You know what I mean? Actually scraping for leads. Actually doing the things I think I should be doing. Everything I just said, between dedication and consistency, that's all self-improvement. That's to improve yourself and how you see yourself, right? It's a perspective of how you see yourself and how I saw myself. Now, if we shift into a bit of a different thing, it's how you see other people. Now, I know that people live in different communities and different lives, so, take what my experience with a grain of salt if that's what will make more sense for you. What I went through was I was surrounded by people who were, I'm not going to say just like dumber than me. It's like, no, people who had an urge to do the opposite of everything I just said. They didn't want to be the person that was improving, or they did, but they didn't act on it, right? They were doing things that were hurting themselves. They were never consistent. They were never dedicated or passionate or ambitious. They were just alive, ? Alive, maybe? And they thought they knew what it meant to be alive. And they thought that only could happen through drinking or smoking weed or pretending to be somebody else. Now, my view of the world when I was 13 and 14, because I was a very hot-headed or hard-headed child, I kind of just found them to be stupid. But I never acted on that. You see what I'm saying? I never quite acted on the fact that they were stupid. I still hung out. I still was a bit of a degenerate, not as much as not as much as back then I'd like to be. I wanted to be more of a degenerate, but I stopped myself. And these people were the same while I was changing. They stayed in that same position that they were when they were 13 to 16. And I had been evolving and changing, because most people don't evolve and change in their teenage years. Let's be really honest. Most people at 13 years old that I've seen, like I said, your community may be different, but from what I've seen in my sector of the world, is these people don't change. They barely evolve. They just become more of what they were before. And time just does that. And time kind of just dishevels them to the point where they hit rock bottom. They either make a choice to continue down this path or try to find a way out. And maybe one or two people actually try to find a way out. Like, literally, from what I've seen, it was like barely anybody I knew actually tried to find a way out. And I had been trying to find a way out. When I was 13, I used to do musicals and theater shows, and I would see these kids, and I was like, you don't want more than this? You guys all just want the applause. And I would talk about them, like I said, my perspective about other people, as if they were something separate from me, but they weren't, because I actually believed the same things too. I wanted the applause too. I had the ego too. I was stupid too. So, in terms of other people and comparison, not thinking you're smarter than you are is advice that I've heard on YouTube and from a lot of smart people. And that advice really propelled me into a different world of opportunity in terms of perspective, where I could finally look at people as people themselves, as stories, not just, something to use, not just something to hook up with, right? They're stories, they're entities, they're their own beings. And are they the lead character of their own stories? Are they the supporting character to somebody else's? These are things that got me interested when I was younger, but it took a little bit. It took a little while. I must have been around 16 years old before I actually started to dive into that. So back when I was younger, I saw them as stupid, but I didn't act on it. And now I see them as their own stories, and I act as if they're stupid. So I don't hang out. I don't let them drag me in to their a lot of people find this to be a little bit of an over-exaggeration, I feel like, but their hellish world, their chaotic world. You know what I mean? Because compared to what I'm doing, I don't like comparing a lot, but compared to what I'm doing and what I've done, the chaos has been kind of, pushed down. And the chaos only comes when I want it to. Not to say I have this immense self-control, but because I don't, especially over my emotions, I don't. I don't feel like doing certain things at certain times. I was in bed just like an hour ago scrolling. What am I doing? You know what I mean? It was like 2 seconds. I found myself scrolling in bed. Like, what? Back then, it wouldn't have even been a what. I would have spent hours there. So these little improvements towards seeing people differently and seeing myself differently, to me, is what defined my maturity at this age and throughout every year of my teenage years. Define my maturity, and only this past year have I really acted on that. Really acted on that. Because I'd acted on it before and changed and moved and learned different skills, a bunch of different skills. And Now to me is the first time when I'm actually putting pen to paper and going. You know? Doesn't mean the result has showed up yet and I'm successful? No. Of course not. Doesn't mean that at all. It just means that maybe, just maybe, actions that we take on ourselves actually matter. And they're not just a throwaway. They actually matter. And same for other people. The actions we take on other people, the things we say to them, right? The energy we feed to them, it actually matters. It all has consequence. You know, none of it's free time. Even though you think you have free time, none of it's free time. So yeah, that was a little explanation. That was a bit of a throwback, you know what I mean, to what I was when I was younger, and how I think I matured very quickly in my teens. All right, so I'm going to end the YouTube video here. Hopefully you guys have a great day. I know I'm going to have a great rest of my day, and as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.